truth behind Thomas the Train. In a 1984 episode of Thomas the Tank Engine, there was a big green train engine named Henry pulling a passenger train. He runs into a tunnel and stops at the end, not wanting to go any further. Henry's driver argued with him, but he refuses to get out. He claimed the rain would wreck his brand new green paint. So the workers decided to get revenge on him and built a big brick wall in front of him so he could never get out. They then abandoned him and his body is still there today.
This is why you should be scared of that one person you're talking to online that you're about to meet in real life. Blanca Arellano, a 51-year-old Mexican woman, was looking for love. She met a Peruvian man named Juan Villafuerte on an online gaming app, and on the last day of October, she traveled 3,000 miles to Lima, Peru to meet him. She thought that he could be the one. On November 7th, while in the beach city of Huacho, where Villafuerte lived, Blanca spoke to her niece on the phone and told her that the relationship was going well and that she was in love. Then, she went silent. Her niece suspected something was wrong after not being able to get into contact with her. She called for help on Twitter and reached out to Juan Villafuerte, who said that Blanca got bored of him and left to find a plane ticket back to Mexico, as he could not provide the life she wanted. But the truth was much, much darker. On November 10th, Peruvian authorities found a severed finger on the beach of Huacho. Then in the following days, they found a faceless head, and then an arm, and then a torso with no organs inside of it. They eventually identified Blanca Arellano via her family by the ring on her finger. Juan Villafuerte was arrested on charges of human organs trafficking. Authorities found traces of blood all over his apartment, and he reportedly posted TikTok videos of human organs days after Blanca's disappearance.
This is a true horrifying story, part 25. Warning, this is not a joke. The information that's going to be shared is dangerous and life-threatening. Do not, under any circumstance, commit the actions that will be narrated. This is the world's most dangerous book ever, Shams al-Ma'arif. This book was written by Ahmed al-Buni in the 17th century. But technically, the author of this book is not a human being. I never did and will never read this book. And this is your second warning. Do not read this book. Ahmed al-Buni practiced black magic, and he was in contact with the most powerful jinns and demons before he passed away. The jinns were the authors of this book. The elder generations, like our moms and dads, have heard about this book, and they were warned by it. There are thousands of horrifying stories of people who read this book. Shams al-Ma'arif explains everything about black magic, how to get in touch with the world of jinns, how to marry a jinn, and the sacrifices you have to do for the devil, and much more. Unfortunately, this book can be easily found online. One day, a Saudi Arabian man that read hundreds of books for a living decided to read this book specifically out of interest and love for all books, without fearing the consequences behind it. He reached the chapter that teaches readers how to get married to a female jinn. He laughed about it. He tried the ritual to experiment it. The first night after finishing the whole book and completing the marriage ritual, he felt someone breathing next to his face. And on the second night, he felt a hand touching his feet. And on the third night, he heard her voice. The man was officially locked in a marriage with a demon. 5 years go by. He met a normal, beautiful woman that he fell in love with, and they both decided to get married. A week before the wedding day, the bride, the bride's parents, and the groom's parents all pass and die in 3 different car crashes. These are the consequences behind this book. And it's also known from many stories of people that have died from reading the first few pages. If you don't finish reading the book, you will get killed. All my stories, all of them, are true incidents that happened one time only. But this book is a product that is permanently available online. I beg you, do not go anywhere near Shams al-Ma'arif. This video is to educate you on the dangers behind this book. Do not go anywhere close to the world of jinns.
Let's talk about the 2-year-old who lost his life at Disney World after a gator attacked him. So here we have 2-year-old Lane Graves. He and his family were from Nebraska, and in 2016, they traveled down to Florida to go to Disney World. On June 15th at around 8 o'clock, the family heads down to Seven Seas Lagoon, where they're screening Zootopia. A little bit about this lagoon: it was man-made, and they had always had an issue of stray gators getting in the water and staying there. On this specific day, at least 2 people had told employees that they had seen a gator in the lagoon area, and they did nothing, or it was too late, as one of them came even an hour before the attack happened. So Lane is on the beach playing around, building sandcastles and such in just inches of water, and when he bends down to get more, a gator comes rushing up out of the water and grabs him by his head. Lane's dad sees it happen and he rushes over, trying to pry Lane's head out of the gator's jaws. Unfortunately, he can't get Lane free, and the gator drags him further out into deeper water. Witnesses say that they saw the gator 20 miles from shore with the boy's feet sticking out from the water. The next day, Lane's body would be found with bites all over him, and experts would go on to call it a predatory attack. They'd also go on to say that they're certain that they tracked down the gator that did this and euthanized it. At the time, the only signs posted were no swimming signs. Now they've posted these signs. Lane's family chose not to sue, and in 2021, 5 years after the attack, in that time, 250 gators had been removed from Disney properties.
Here are some interesting things that I don't think you've heard before. This is a graphic that shows the proportion of words spoken by male versus female characters in Best Picture Oscar winners. And you can see in the pink color, that's women speaking, compared to the green color, which is men speaking. I don't know about this one, but apparently a guy made a Tinder profile writing that he had a criminal record for abusing women and then got 800 matches in 48 hours. Oh boy. The hand in this Titanic scene was not actually Kate Winslet's, it was James Cameron's, because he wanted the hand to look exactly a specific way. In 1945, the adult literacy rate in South Korea was about 22%. And then by the 1980s, the literacy rate went up to 93%. So this man was bird watching in Central Park when a woman comes up with her dog off her leash and then accuses him of attacking her. He caught that moment on camera, and the viralness of this video allowed him to create his own birdwatching show. And the show won an Emmy. We don't know who voices Bluey and Bingo. They are real child voice actors, but they've been kept secret from everybody in the world.
2025 just got even crazier, part 49. So, a 52-year-old woman living in the Netherlands has been experiencing a rare condition for around 40 years, where she would look at somebody's face and their face would slowly warp into a dragon-like face. And the scary part is, she said she stayed quiet about this for most of her life. Until everything became exhausting after people's faces were literally changing into dragons all the time, but apparently she did receive treatment and the hallucinations have nearly disappeared. Next, I'm sure we all know that in Nepal, Gen Z came together to protest the government's ban on social media they had in place and caused the Prime Minister to flee and resign. And Gen Z then held a whole election on Discord and elected the first female Prime Minister of Nepal, and she was elected on Discord.
They are convinced they found a real-life Skinwalker and there is proof.
Yo, what the What the? Bro. There's nobody in here.
Skinwalkers are known to apparently mimic people's words, especially that of the last victim that they took. Although there's little to no evidence of Skinwalkers, there's videos like this that do exist, so do you think they're real or not?
Here's why Michael Jackson is actually still alive. Michael Jackson was reported dead on June 25th, 2009. But in 2018, Drake made a song with him called Don't Matter to Me. Although it was released in 2018, the song was actually recorded in 1983. The problem is, Drake wasn't even alive till 1986. MJ was also spotted in the back of his daughter's van in 2016. You can clearly see it's him in this photo. You can also see him exiting the ambulance that his dead body was supposed to be in when they arrived at the hospital. If you look closely, you can see somebody is helping a man exit the ambulance. And there's been multiple photos of MJ leaked this year of him wearing a mask. Comment if you think he's still alive.
The average person has about 6,000 thoughts per day, and according to psychologists, about 80% of them are negative. Hear me out. Expressing gratitude towards loved ones gives you an immediate increase in happiness. And if you don't believe me, go try it and then try to come back here and tell me I'm wrong. Social rejection can feel like physical pain, and I, for one, am a firm believer in the research that shows that acetaminophen, like Tylenol, can actually dull this pain as it would a headache. Married people are more likely to self-pleasure than people who live alone, okay? So just keep that one in mind. Humans have this automatic reaction to default to assume somebody is telling the truth, and we will automatically second guess ourselves the moment somebody disagrees, which is why gaslighting can be so dangerous. Having backup plans can actually hinder your main goal. Having a plan B makes it much less likely for plan A to succeed, because in your head you're like, oh, well, I have plan B to fall back on. No, you gotta have plan A if you really want it to go. Sarcasm kind of gets a bad rap for being like rude or negative, but it can actually increase your creativity and encourage abstract thought, especially when you're using it with people that you trust. Nowadays, the average high schooler has about the same level of anxiety as a 1950s psychiatric patient, and honestly, I'm not sure what that means about today's society or about how they treated psychiatric patients.
He had his dog's features transplanted onto his own face. Rodrigo Braga was from Brazil, and he was an artist known for blurring the line between human and animal. In 2004, Rodrigo wanted to pay tribute to his dog who had passed away, and he figured the best way to go about this would be to transplant his dog's features onto his face. This included the dog's mouth, ears, and eyes. Once the photo of Rodrigo's face with his dog's features made it onto the internet, many people believed that this was actually real, while others thought it was just an edit made on Photoshop. Rodrigo didn't use his actual face. He made a realistic replica of his face and used the corpse of a deceased dog. Since Rodrigo is an artist, this was all a part of an art project, and he has a website where he shows a series of images of his interesting work. Many users have expressed their anger that an innocent dog's features were used as an art project. Rodrigo stated, in addition to the dog already being deceased, that an animal shelter is the one who provided him with the dog. The surgery was done by a licensed veterinarian under controlled ethical conditions. Rodrigo simply wanted the image to be symbolic as an exploration of grief, identity, and the human desire to reconnect.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. In ancient Rome, soldiers used to drink fresh warm blood to cure epilepsy. There are antidepressants that eliminate someone's ability to feel love and compassion. The Exorcist movie resulted in many of its cast dying, including 2 actors whose characters died in the movie. In 2017, an asteroid named AG-13 passed by our home planet with less than the distance of the moon. Scientists saw it coming only 2 days before it could have hit Earth. One of the most haunted dolls is Robert. It belonged to a child named Eugene in 1904. The 2 most dangerous books are called Shams al-Ma'arif and Al-Ghazali. They carry rituals for summoning demons. In ancient England, people used tops of hollowed human skulls to drink and eat. At Harvard University, there's a book bound in human skin, like for part 6.
The Mountain Dew conspiracy theory is bizarre. So there's been a viral conspiracy theory going around the internet on how every time Mountain Dew launches a new flavor, it's followed by a tragic event. Because it all started in 2001 when Mountain Dew released the flavor Code Red, and after they released this flavor in May, just 4 months after, the tragic 9/11 event happened. However, following this, 5 months after they released the iconic Baja Blast flavor in 2004, the devastating Boxing Day tsunami hit the Indian Ocean, which took the lives of 223 1,000 people. And now moving on to 2008, when they released the Mountain Dew Voltage, was around the same time when the 2008 financial crisis happened. And I can't forget that in 2019, Mountain Dew released Maui Burst, and in 2023, the devastating Maui fires happened. Now that is a stretch, but in 2024, they released Star Spangled Splash, just months after the Baltimore Bridge collapse. Now this is just a conspiracy theory, so don't think about it too much, but just remember the next time Mountain Dew releases a flavor, maybe.
You're 100% right. The 12 Guardians of the Dark Tower are 10 times stronger than Pennywise, and it's not even close. The reference, a Dark Tower is what holds up all of reality in Stephen King's universe. And without this Dark Tower, all reality will collapse. That's exactly where the 12 Guardians come in. They're the ones protecting each side of the beam to make sure nothing goes wrong and the tower is never broken. Comprised of Materna, massive cyborg bear, absolutely jacked elephant, disgustingly scary wolf, an eagle, a massive lion, dog, horse, scary-ass rat, fish, finally a bat, and a rabbit. Look, I gotta be honest, there's also someone even more devious than those 12 Guardians themselves, and that would be the Crimson King. Sole goal is to topple the beams, destroying all of the creatures, and of course ensuing all types of destruction. Because as I said, once that beam falls, and all the Guardians are gone, all of reality crumbles. Just for reference, bro is so powerful he can reach across timelines. How does Pennywise fit in this? Pennywise snuck through the void, all to dash space, which is generalized as a small opening space in between the beams. Technically, since it's Stephen King's universe, they're all connected. Everyone technically comes from the same place. The lore just keeps getting crazier.
Y'all won't believe what Disney is doing to Jamie Lee Curtis right now. We got Jamie Lee cannons before GTA 6. So in an attempt to market the new Freakier Friday movie, Disney has decided to get a little freakier with Jamie Lee Curtis. You see, recently Disney has been posting thirst traps of Jamie Lee Curtis on their social medias. And because of these thirst traps, people are learning two very big things about Jamie Lee Curtis that they did not know before. And the comments on these thirst traps are showing that everyone is loving it. I legitimately think that it might be the funniest comment section I've ever seen.
This serial killer wax museum is something straight out of nightmares. So I was recently traveling throughout Italy, and while in Florence, Italy, I came across a serial killer wax museum. The place is literally called the Florence Serial Killer Museum. And if you visit this museum, you will see wax figures of some of the most horrible people that have ever walked the face of the earth. This includes the monster of Florence, Pietro Pacciani, famous, I guess, Italian serial killers who I had never heard of, and various other serial killers from throughout Europe. They even had a wax figure of James Holmes, the Dark Knight theater shooting. This whole experience was incredibly disturbing for me. I actually visited this location as a part of a documentary that I was filming. And I can honestly say that I have never seen anything quite like this. I also learned a lot of stories while there, like the story of this woman who actually killed 3 women in Italy and turned one of them, at least one of them, into bars of soap. They had an Ed Gein exhibit. And yeah, after doing some further research, this place is incredibly controversial in Italy, and yet when I visited, it was very busy. I cannot honestly say that I've ever seen something quite like this, but this is video proof that this place does exist, and it is in Florence, Italy.
Let's talk about one of the scariest videos out on the internet. Today we're talking about the video where a bride was sadly shot on her wedding day. Here we have the beautiful bride, a 39-year-old Gladys Reichert, on September 26 of 1999. She's in her home in Ridgefield, New Jersey, and she's getting ready for her wedding day. She's hanging out with friends and family. You can see this video here being taken by the wedding photographer. He's getting married to James Preston Jr., and while all this was happening, he was over at a church in Queens, New York, waiting for his bride to arrive. And then the moment when disaster strikes, her ex-boyfriend Agustin Garcia walks in and shoots her 3 times. He shot Gladys 3 times, once in the head, upper arm, and her spine. Her brother tackled Augustine and held him at gunpoint until the police came. So So Augustine and Gladys had dated for like 7 years, and Gladys discovered that Augustine was cheating on her with her best friend, so she called it off. She broke up with him, and then he handled it awfully, as you can tell. Gladys moved on, and Augustine could not move on. He stalked Gladys for weeks and weeks, and pretty much had the mindset if he couldn't have Gladys, no one could. I can't even imagine how awful it would be for her family, her friends, and also her soon-to-be husband, who's waiting in the church for his bride to get there and then find out that she's now been shot and is dead. Augustine was sentenced to life in prison with a chance of parole after 31 years and 4 months. Gladys was buried in her wedding dress, and I hope she's resting in peace, because what happened to her is super scary.
This pedophile couple in Germany sold their son to be abused by pedophiles, and let me tell you, this story is incredibly disturbing. The two people that formed this couple were known as Baron T and Christian L, and they lived in the town of Staufen in southwest Germany. In late 2017, the police received a tip-off and they immediately began investigating this ring, which led them to Baron and Christian. Now, German authorities always cover up the faces and identities of those who are accused and convicted for some reason, but I did manage to find real photos of them to help expose them and raise awareness. So Christian, the man in the couple, actually had 2 previous convictions for child-related crimes, one for possession of child pornography, and another for sexually abusing a 13-year-old girl. And eventually it was found out that Baron, the mother, actually allowed Christian to molest their child so that he wouldn't leave her, he wouldn't break up with her. But apparently somewhere along the way, Christian wasn't just happy with molesting his own children, he wanted to make some money off of it. And so the couple then not only started producing their own CSAM CP videos to be sold on the dark web featuring their kid, but they also started connecting with local and foreign pedophiles on the dark web and allowing them to rent their child for an evening. Yes, they literally sold their child to pedophiles to be molested. Now, you would imagine that for selling a child to pedophiles, the child that you're supposed to be watching over, and for molesting that child repeatedly over and over again, and also filming that molestation and posting it on the dark web for other pedophiles to enjoy, you would imagine that these people would get lengthy prison sentences, right? Well, no. They both received about 12 years in prison for these crimes. Interestingly, Baron, the mother, actually received 12 and a half years in prison, while Christian, the dad, he received even less. He got 12 years. It also came to light during the trial that they hadn't just abused and sold their 9-year-old son, they also facilitated and participated in the abuse of a 3-year-old girl. So people ask me what I feel like is wrong with the world today. One of the biggest things that I see consistently is extremely low sentences for pedophiles like this. It just absolutely boils my blood that someone can get convicted and serve a much longer time in prison based on drug charges, a longer sentence for possessing a controlled substance than for molesting a kid repeatedly, filming it, and selling that kid to other pedophiles to molest. Make this make sense, please. If you want to follow me on my journey to expose predators like this, please consider checking out my show, The Conspiracy Files. You can find it on YT or on any podcasting platform.
Weirdest kid stories ever, part 26. Next up, we got the toy monsters. So pretty much these little plush stuffed animal thingies, and you push it and it gives like a little message, says something funky, yeah. But there became a pretty big uproar about these toys because one dude went to the store, picked one of them up, squeezed them, and noticed that it was saying something pretty weird. Something that sounded like, turn off the TV and watch the baby. I'll play the video.
And what you're looking at here is the greatest gift the Hmong people have given us, other than Sunny Lee. This is the Hmong dog, or the Hmong bobtail dog, or as I call him, the meow wolf. Because if the question is cat or dog and you can't commit, a puppy cat might be in your future. The pride of the Hmong people of Southeast Asia was forged in the mountains of Vietnam, likely while the Hmong pieced out of China for reasons. Some say this dog was a result of Chinese bobtails getting nasty with Vietnam jackals, and the resulting Hmong dog was used for hunting and guarding. Now you might ask what this cat dog could possibly guard you from other than low dopamine. Well, they're a lot tougher than you think, and they've been used by Vietnamese police as sniffing dogs, so if you try to bring some BS into their borders, you will have to see a professional snitch about it. Another thing is that their hunting history means they do not rock with cats, and yeah, that just sounds like a dog thing, but their prey drive means a cat can breathe and a Hmong pup will take it personally. It'll go from cat to casualty real fast, and for a dog that looks feline in the face, that's probably why they're on site. They clock the fake, and one thing they don't tolerate is an imposter among us. But obviously, if you socialize them and know what you're getting into, they can be a great addition to your house. You might even get a Zui. Zui is a Hmong dog that went viral for... well, I mean, how could this raccoon corgi not? Also, correct me if I'm wrong, I just might be, but apparently his name means raccoon. God bless this benevolent loaf of bread, and shout out to the Hmong people for baking him, the more you know.
She had a plan to end her husband's life because he was touching children at their daycare facility. James Williams Jr. was a part of the U.S. Marine Corps from 1983 to 1987 and became an officer with the Baltimore Police Department from 1996 to 2005. Once he retired, he started working with his wife, Shantiri Weems, at the daycare that she owned. Shantiri was the owner of Kids Castle, which was a popular daycare center in Baltimore, and James was a bus driver. Once James started working there, Shantiri felt like she was providing a level of security with James's background that many other daycares wouldn't have. Eventually, Shantiri started to hear rumors that her husband James was essaying some of the children at their daycare, and when she confronted him about it, he of course denied it. She wanted to believe that her husband would never do something like that, so she just pushed the rumors aside and moved on. That was until one of the parents of the victims confronted Shantiri and told her that it was James, and she could just tell from the parents' eyes that she was not lying, and she believed her. At that very moment, Shantiri wanted to end her husband's life and then end her own life because her world had just collapsed. On July 21st of 2022, Shantiri drove to a hotel in Washington, D.C. to meet with James for what he thought was going to be a romantic time together. At 7:30 p.m., shots rang on the 8th floor and police were immediately called to the hotel. Once police arrived to the hotel room, the door was barricaded and they could hear Shantiri inside saying that she had just shot her husband and that if they were to come in, she was going to end her life as well. After an hour-long standoff, they went inside and found James with a gunshot wound to his leg and neck. James was rushed to the hospital. He was still alive with serious injuries. Officers arrested Shantiri, and as they were searching her bag, they found a notebook outlined with a plan to shoot James. Although Shantiri had never been in trouble with the law before, the judge found her guilty and sentenced her to 4 years in prison. Once James was in court, he denied all of those allegations, but once they looked at his search history, it was a completely different story. Ultimately, prosecutors charged James with 33 counts of child SA. On April 14th of 2025, James was sentenced to life in prison.